Hi, everybody. My name is Lisa Morano, and I am the Donor Relations Manager for the Alliance for Eating Disorders Awareness. I'm really excited because tonight we'll have a brawny male model who's made tons of headlines. His name is Adi Devaye, and he will be joining us tonight. So I'm super excited. We'll just give it a minute for Adi to join. It's really going to be a great conversation. Some of you may have seen Adi's spreads in various magazines, and he's one of the spokespeople for New York Gay Pride this month. So we're really excited to have him join. So let me just get Adi here, and we will get this going. Please feel free to submit some to make this a conversation back and forth. So let us know if you have any questions for Adi. Hey
Hey,
there.
how are you?
How are you?
Good, I'm good. Sorry, I was a couple minutes behind setting up and stuff.
Hey, I feel you. It's in the middle of COVID and life is crazy right now, right? So, how are you? Where
Oh,
are you right now?
I'm in where, like, what you mean? Like, I'm in my room or in state?
Are you in Boston or what
Boston.
city are you in? Awesome. How are things up there? Are people like abiding by the rules and being safe? Because in Florida, they are not.
I hear headlines every day. Every morning I wake up, Florida this, Florida that.
I apologize. As a native Floridian, I apologize, everybody, on behalf of Florida. But thank you so much, Adi, for joining us. You and I connected, geez, like almost a year ago now. And I've been wanting to do this forever. And you've just been so generous with sharing your experiences with the community. And tell everyone who's watching, in case they're not familiar with your work, tell them a little bit about you and kind of how you have come into your fabulousness.
Yeah, so my name is Adi Devaje. I'm a plus male model, and I've been modeling for about over 5 years now. And in the last years, I've done like campaigns for like designers like Patrick. Um, I'm in the NYC Pride campaign. Um, I've done Fashion Week. Um, yeah, I've done so much, but I've done brief what I've done recently. Yeah, I'm Latino, I'm Puerto Rican, and do all that.
Puerto Ricans in the house. Yeah, it's funny. I'm with my family right now, and we were just having a conversation last night of how us Latinos fit into the whole conversation going on. Of course, it's very important going on around Black Lives Matters and all the current events going on. And I think as people of color, we need to stand up and stand with the Black community and address our own stuff and our own prejudices that some people in the Latin community have. So I'm excited for us to talk a little bit about that tonight.
Yeah.
But first, I want to talk about your modeling career, because I first came across you, I guess, on Instagram, right when you had gotten banned from Instagram. So, for everyone who's not familiar, tell us what happened to your previous account and kind of all the BS, for lack of a better term, that went down with you getting kicked off of Instagram.
Yeah, so actually, this week is actually exactly a year. I got big literally the week before. So it was literally around this time frame, Monday. So it would have been this month, a full year. They've been, I think, like last year more than ever. But like it progressed. Like every time I would post like a shirtless photo or like by the pool or at the beach, I was waking up maybe I would wake up in the morning, my some photos being deleted, and it would be those type of specific photos. Not all of them, but some of them. And I guess it progressed, but I didn't think anything of it ever. I would wait and post it like a month later or whatever, or not post them at all just to avoid any issues with my account. But like the week before, I posted photos like I don't know if it was by the pool or whatever. I think I was in LA and I had posted a photo by the pool, and, I had posted it when I was already here in Boston, and my photo was gone. I woke up in the morning and it was gone. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm not breaking any guidelines, and every time I would read the guidelines, it doesn't describe like me, the system, or whoever was assuming my body was female, which is still messed up. I don't care who it is, because a lot of people post a lot of art, art. But to be specific, they confuse my male body as for a female body, and I'm like, that's the only thing that would come because I'm not breaking any other guidelines. And so when I went to work, because I work at 5 for the city, and I was linking a social account that I went with Instagram, because that's sometimes it worked through them, and it needed to link. So I was linking it, and I signed in and tried to link my page. That triggered more my page to be deleted, and I was like, texting my page. Can you see my page? I don't see my page. And I would log in, and it just wouldn't let me or anything. So I gave up that day. I was like, what's going on? Because Instagram literally is how I work. Yeah, I don't care about followers or photos or whatever. My Instagram is where a lot of people go for a safe space to even see it or read a caption or whatever I shared. So for me, people were like emailing me my personal email that had it, or like followers would email me on Facebook. Like, what happened? Your page is gone, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And then I tried to appeal it. I was appealing for weeks. I had people articles. I did Vice magazine. I did Rolling Stone, like calling Instagram out, like, what is wrong with the algorithm over there? Policing what people are posting. They're not reading guidelines. And I realized even before my page was deleted that Instagram has been policing a lot, like bodies and like people of color, the Black community. Like, I follow so many people that I've been a lot of complaints before my page got deleted, but I didn't think it would happen to me. And I wrote articles, like we were all calling people were experiencing this. I was around that same time frame. A lot of artists and creators. I had 5 people email me. They went to headquarters to meet with them for similar things, and they mentioned my name, and my name came up a lot in those rooms.
Wow.
And go in those meetings, because like, hello, what's up? Like, I don't even care about. It's like, why are these platforms are sometimes our jobs, but we also use them to express ourselves and to, it's platforms for many reasons. What?
And you weren't doing anything wrong. You were just posting shirtless photos, like.
I was posting me being me. And
and guys do that all the time.
Yeah, I gave up. I'm like, they're just deleting bodies because they're fat or queer or Black. That was the trend. Last year by that time frame, and so I created this new page that we're on now. People have messaged me, I think you can get your page back, and I'm like, I don't even want it anymore. I'm like I got enough for new page, and a lot of work came. I think I kind of refreshed. I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I'm still gonna speak up regardless, because they shouldn't be doing it. But that's how it happened. It's a mess. Fun.
Well, I know you've been an inspiration for so many people, because first of all, being in a larger size body, navigating the world, as tough as it is, right? And then you go into the modeling industry of all things, and it's totally a foreign concept, unfortunately. And then for Instagram to delete you after you were so successful and had all those followers simply because of your body size, or like you said, maybe because you're a person of color, maybe because you're queer, who knows? But either way, it wasn't okay. And the fact that they just erased you, when there's tons of people who post topless photos all the time on Instagram. Why is your body different? Because of the size of it, it's not okay. I mean, and that's bullshit. Like, we at the Alliance for Eating Disorders Awareness, we believe all bodies are good bodies. Own your body, own your size. It doesn't matter, and it really struck a chord with me. It really hurt me, to see you go through that. So I just want to know, not that you're asking for sympathy, but we all were really upset by it. And I was like, I'm going to reach out to him. I'm going to track this dude down and figure out what's going on. So I'm so glad that we've connected. And I've met some of your other modeling friends through this, and you guys have a really good group of guys, it seems like, that really have each other's back in the industry. So that's really good to see. So when you get those negative comments online, how do you handle that? Because it's got to be really hard. You're putting yourself out there, and sometimes people aren't so nice. How do you handle that and make sure it doesn't really get to you personally?
I think at first, when like mostly like articles would come out, when I would do like when I first interviewed for Yahoo like 4 years ago, maybe, or 3.5 years ago. I did an interview, but I didn't think it was going to do anything, and I wasn't getting comments back then, even before that, and that's when it started triggering finding me and finding my page through these articles. And from Yahoo, I'm like, I have like 80 articles worldwide about it that, like, don't even know how that. Some of them I did, but some piggybacking off whatever was already out. And I would read the comments on the website. I was just kidding. And that was probably the worst. They're worse than social media. For some reason, they're brutal. And it would it would hurt me. Like you don't even know me. And just assuming why I do this, why I post when I post, why I'm pursuing my things. You're promoting, obesity, or making this something that is disgusting. It shouldn't be, cover up, blah blah blah. It's just other crazy stuff like kill yourself or whatever. Like, it's just a bunch of stuff. I stopped reading it. I sent them to. I was like, don't read those. So I haven't read those ever. No, and on social media, I look at trickled ones, but it's not as bad. But they message me or DM. Sometimes I will respond because I would have the time of day to be okay. You wanna, but then I would be, I would kind of like brush it off after a while, and I just kind of zoned out. I think like the more stuff I did, and the more I put myself out there, kind of zoned everything out. So I don't even bother reading it or opening messages that are not relevant to me or whatever I'm doing. And just ignore them. I think that's the only thing you can really do is ignore them and just do be you, because we've been listening to stuff for years. I'm sure people that listen and we see on TV what you should look like, or you're too fat, mate, you're not married or find a boyfriend, or what we see on TV and or magazines that. I think more now than ever with our generation, we kind of are zoning that out little by little, and I still have my bad days. I feel like shit. I feel like I don't how it's more. I mean, I'm human, but I kind of learned to kind of not dwell in it and be like, this is me. This is who I am. This is my body.
Yeah.
Shake it off, and just keep it moving.
Roll it off, right? Just keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, and just it's normal for people to feel that way. We're so drilled in our what we should look like, in other people's eyes, that's what we focus on. We kind of make ourselves go crazy, depressed, and But I try not to listen to it. It's just right now, it's 100%. I don't care what anyone says. I'm just doing.
I love it. I love it. And for everyone watching, I think, just to reiterate what you said, not all good days are good days, right? Sometimes you have your hard moments, but it's about picking yourself up, getting back up, moving on. And it's about recognizing that, hey, reading those comments is not good for me. It's not helping me. Those people don't know me. They don't know who I am. They don't know what I'm about. They don't know what I stand for. Who cares? And move on, and not to internalize it and, really let those things get to you. Someone important to me would tell me, at the end of the day, can you look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm a good person? And to me, that's what matters. Can you sit your head down at night on your pillow and say, I'm a good person. I did the right thing today. I did my best today. And that's really all you can do. So thank you for sharing that. I know it's a lot to have to think about those things, but I think for folks watching, it's important to know that, people like you who are social media influencers, that you're human. You have good days, you have bad days. even in the modeling industry, it's tough. I know you've talked about how some of the top designers will say, oh yeah, we really like him, he's great, his poses are great, but we can't fit him, we can't fit his size. And that's unbelievably frustrating. So what are you doing within the fashion industry, within your networks, to try and get designers and brands to see that, first of all, there's value in all bodies, there's value in your looks and your capabilities as a model, and there's value in the people who will buy the clothing, who will buy these things, that there is diversity of size. So how are you kind of advocating for that within the industry?
I mean, I think this is something I've been advocating for like a lot since probably I started. But I think like I as I progress stuff, like I'll go to a job. Let's say I'll do a job, and there's stuff that might not fit me, but I'm like I got hired to do this, and we gotta. I got so used to improvising because the industry still doesn't cater for someone like me, but they want to work with me. So it's like, do I not take the opportunity or take the opportunity and make it work and just represent, you know? So, you know, I've been on set and it's like nothing really fits. I've gotten used to carrying a model bag with my basics so I can improvise looks and, you know, a campaign happen or something that I was hired for to do. And I'll make it happen. You know, I got so used to improvising. I got my friends laugh. In New York, I have a suitcase. I'll carry it with me the whole time. I'll check in the hotel, but the next morning I'm going to a shoot. I take my whole suitcase with me, and I'm like, I get up on set, and I have this available. Let's make it work. You know, it's like I can either not do it or do it, and hopefully me showing up kind of like, you know, shift stuff in the people that are guys that are doing what. But I also like recently want to have conversations with people that are creating these spaces and opportunities for us, like designers. Like I've been on set, get to know who I'm working for, have conversations and my experience. Sometimes I'll email them or text them like, let's do something. Can you do this or add this? Because I know you probably don't cater to that as much, but we like work with each other. You like my work and you like me again. So I think it's important for me to have the conversations face to face. Even during the job or on set, that you know, the vibe, and I think it's important that we just not take complacent to just show up, you know, as a model on set. Yeah, I'll do the job and improvise, but also have the conversation. Like, you know, we want people that look like me want to do, and you know, and they want real fashion, they want funky fashion, they want like what our skinny people, our counterparts are wearing. We want to wear it too. And for me, I always try to make sure that's my purpose when I do a job. Is like it might look glamorous and it'll come out like that, but the process to get there is not easy. So it's like having a conversation, but also fighting for my place in these spaces that I know I deserve to be in too.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Again, I know it's tough stuff to talk about, but I know you're making a difference. I know you've been inspiring for me and so many people that the Alliance serves. And, you know, even people that aren't in larger size bodies, I think it's just important to send that message that the industry and fashion needs to change to fit us. We don't need to change to fit fashion. That's not how it works. And, you know, you're a healthy body, you're a beautiful body, you have some killer looks, and if they don't want to fit your clothes, then they're missing out and on to the next one. But I appreciate all the activism and the tough conversations that you're creating, because it's not easy to do that. It's not easy to stick your neck out when you're already kind of an outsider in the industry and then say, hey, I'm going to push the boundaries a little bit. I'm going to challenge you guys to do better. So I think it's so awesome you're doing that. And I think it's so awesome that you're doing that with your advocacy too. You know, I'm an advocacy person. I believe the personal is the political. I'm all about like going to Washington, going to the Capitol and doing all that. So I know that just to change the conversation a little bit, I know you've been really vocal about the Black Lives Matter movement and everything going on in the world right now. And we as an organization know that Black Lives Matters. We believe in serving communities of color. A study came out yesterday that showed that African Americans and people of color are 2 times less likely to get diagnosed with an eating disorder. And I personally, my personal feelings is some of that has to do with exoticizing our bodies and making us exotic and other, and maybe the medical community not putting as much effort and not putting as much screening into asking those questions among people of color. So what is kind of your feeling on how body politics fits into the Black Lives Matters movement and fits into really all people of color trying to overcome the hardships that we face and overcome the systemic inequalities? How can we as people of color who are also in larger bodies advocate for everybody?
I think like there's always this stigma or stereotype on people of color forever, and they, I think we are assuming that we don't go through certain things, or like again, like eating disorders, or this the way the system is set up for us. We are only able to afford certain things for our bodies or whatever. So it's important that while supporting this movement, I think it's important is also I think this movement is also highlighting everything, all the branches that kind of did all this. Black people in the community of color. And, I think it's important that we like acknowledge how we do it within the community, but also how who the people that are in it also react to the community that we're in. I think it's important to really like advocate and bring up these detailed issues that kind of like hand in hand with the movement, because again, like it's stereotyped for being black by top, but we're getting stereotyped by a system that's really made for us, people of color, or the black community at all. We kind of take everything as it comes because it's what we're getting. But it's important to keep pushing for change, but also acknowledging that we go through things that people assume are, and we should, acknowledge it, address it, and like move forward on how we can make ourselves, our community, and our people better with what we're getting to deal with.
I love it. I love it. And again, just to reiterate, I just think that's something that I've appreciated about following you so much is not only do you come at modeling with a different body than we're used to seeing in the industry, but you always back it up with an activism piece, with an activism angle, whether that's about body love and acceptance or that's about communities of color. I think that's so important because, as we know, representation matters. It's important for brown people to see brown people. It's important for people in a larger body to see models in a larger body. And it's so important to have these conversations and kind of lift the mask and stop pushing these things away, stop, pushing it under the rug. Because, we've got to do better as a culture, as a country. We've got to do better for people of color, for people in larger bodies, for people with any, quote unquote difference. So looking back at everything you've learned in your journey thus far, what would you tell 10-year-old Adi who maybe was getting picked on for your body or just wasn't feeling as confident as some of your other friends? What would you tell your younger self?
I would tell, maybe not my 10-year-old, because I wasn't thinking back then. Some people were. I would probably say my late teens, young adults, like between 15 and 25 self, that I'm worthy. That was a dark age in my life for me more than any other age in my life, and I think it was more me to myself than people to me. I think I was just telling myself that I'm worthy. And I think the body I my body between my chest or my stomach, and I would just like sometimes cry, and also not be out, everything mixed in one. I would tell myself like, I'm worthy, and I would have surrounded myself with better people, and just know that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the stage. I think I would. I would tell myself I'll get better.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think it's really important for anyone who's struggling, no matter what age you are, if you're struggling with body acceptance and body love or an eating disorder, things can get better. You know, the work isn't easy. It's not a, recovery from an eating disorder is not linear, but it's possible. Full recovery is possible. It is possible to be able to wake up in the morning and say, hey, I love myself. And also to have those days where it's like, I could do better. And then it's about going on to the next thing. Um, so it's almost the end of Pride Month. I want to talk a little bit about Pride Month because you are one of the spokespeople for New York Pride. I had the honor of going to New York City Pride last year, and it was amazing. So upset we couldn't be there this year in person. But tell me a little bit about what it's like to be a queer model of color and all your identities. How does that kind of mix into who you are?
I think that's something that, like, probably in the last like 3 or 4 years, embraced. I feel like I represent so much, like the queer community, the plus size community, Latino community. You know, my, I represent so many thoughts, and I realized that me being all that kind of helps people to, like, oh, there's someone that looks like me, or that I identify with, or I look like them, and they can feel like, they feel seen. And being like a queer Latino navigating certain spaces can be intimidating, but also like feel empowered at the same time, because I don't have to hide who I am. I don't have to hide my body. I don't have to hide my queerness, because I've learned to be in spaces and surround myself with people that are for me, and also take opportunities of I want to work with me because they like who I am, as a person. And I want them to know when I work, like in the Pride campaign. I was actually really excited to wear fashion and makeup and cool outfit that I usually don't really do, but it's a part of me that I wanted to express queerness, but also being a Latino and queer Puerto Rican doing a campaign that wanted me to be there to represent, meant so much to me. But they chose me for a reason. It was an honor to just represent spaces that embrace me, and I'm able to put that out to the world. Like, I'm doing this, but I'm also doing this for you. It's not me.
Well, again, we're just so glad to have you, and you've been such an inspiration to me personally. Again, because you come with so much. It's not just the modeling. It's not just the advocacy. It's not just being queer and Latino and proud. It's all that wrapped into one. And I think you've just been so unapologetic about it, which is awesome and refreshing and inspiring. I was talking with my mom last night, who's a New Yorker from the Bronx, stereotypical. And I was telling her about you and showing her pictures, and she was just like, wow, like if my grandfather who came from Puerto Rico would have seen this, like their heads would have exploded in a good way. But it's so good. Again, as a Latina, as a person in a larger body, as someone who's queer, to me, it's so inspiring and so motivating. So I just, again, want to thank you for that. And hopefully everyone watching this is getting the same inspiration from you. And if you guys aren't following Addy, you need to be following his stuff and liking his photos and help promoting him, because he's the real deal. He's one of us. He's a good person. So what other message would you have for, because of course, a lot of people who are watching this are clients or people who utilize the Alliance's services. So what message would you have for someone who has an eating disorder or maybe is struggling and doesn't know where to turn to for help? What would you tell them just to make it through the next day?
Like for me, I've had moments. Everybody deals with different types of disorders, and and they deal with it differently. I would say, like, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I think they understand they're going through this, doing this. They understand and they feel alone. I would just say, like, reach out to someone. I feel like it's something you can't deal with alone. And some people try to hide it because there's something they're ashamed of. A lot of people get ashamed of and don't want people to know that they're going through this and probably want help. But, you know, surround yourself with people that want to help you, that understand you, and also, like, don't feel you're forced something that you're not ready for, but don't forget to work on it. It's just, you know, something I think for everyone is different and a sensitive issue for so many, and you know, everybody deals with the eating disorders differently. It's just all different types. So taking it day by day, try to change something that you're so used to that you're doing. Maybe like one day try a little bit here. Like, you know, I think it's all babies and not a cold turkey for anyone. Because and for some people it could be a lifetime journey to like get to a place where they're like deal with this as much. Everybody's different. Don't give up and just, you know, surround yourself with people that want to help you and be there for you, and tell yourself, look yourself in the mirror like, you know, I'm beautiful. I'm, you know, every day if you can, or once a week, like something positive about yourself that will get you going through that day. You might have 3 days bad after that, but one is probably like heaven. So it's like, speaking generally, just like do that for yourself. I feel like everyone's journey is different. People should, like, you know, we have to do our part to make that journey good and positive as possible.
Absolutely. And I think if we know someone else who is struggling, we need to be a part of their support team. And also just watch the things that we say. You know, language is important. Words matter. And watch when we criticize ourselves, you know, saying, I don't like X about me, or I feel so whatever. People are listening. You know, yeah. I have a little niece and nephew, and they pick up on everything. Like when you think they're not listening, they're listening. And I don't want them ever to feel like they're different or they're not worthy or not enough because of their body shape, size, color, whatever it may be. And again, I think having more people like you who are having that representation in the field is just so important. And just a shameless plug, since you mentioned support, for anyone watching this, if you're not already aware, the Alliance for Eating Disorders Awareness hosts free clinician-led support groups across the nation. Right now, because of COVID, we're hosting 3 support groups online. Again, they are free and they're led by clinicians, so they're safe spaces where you can come in and talk and get advice and get support from a safe space. We also provide free referrals for any level of eating disorder care, whether that's outpatient all the way up to inpatient hospitalization. So if you or someone you know is in need of any services and needs help or doesn't know where to go, contact the Alliance for Eating Disorders. Recovery is possible. You can live a life in recovery. It doesn't have to be, you know, the constant struggle that some of us face every day. And again, I think the more folks that we can have like you who are just sharing their stories, sharing their journeys, and just being authentic. And again, I think, you know, I saw one of our friends, Veronica, just hopped on. Hey, Veronica. She and I have talked a lot. She's a fellow Latina, and we've talked a lot about just how our culture and the American culture and how that fits into everything that, you know, that we go through. So any final words, anything else you want to share with anyone before I let you go? Because I know it's getting late.
No, not really. I mean, just thank you. I hope me doing this, whoever watched or whoever goes back to watch, it helps them in a way that they might see themselves, they can relate to me or my story. They can help the guys or to help. And my inbox is always open for people to message me crazy stuff. Sometimes I cry and I'm like, something like this. I was telling my friends, I got so many emails yesterday of people talking about their bodies, and I'm like, and respond. I feel for them because I can relate. And you know, you guys are here. I'm always an open book or a message away for anyone. I'm not too popular, and I try to be, you know, do my part to help and hopefully make people's day a little better when they need it. You know, but I appreciate it.
Your pictures make my day better. I love them. I love them. I show everyone in the office. I'm like, look at Audie. He's doing all this big stuff. So you're an inspiration to me. And I hope everyone who's watching this will share it with a friend. Share it with a friend who maybe is struggling with their body, or share it if no one you know is struggling. Share it anyways, and just show people that you support people of different color, of different body sizes, of different ethnicities. I think now more than ever, we do need to find our allies, like you said, and find our places where we can get support. Again, the Alliance for Eating Disorders is always here. We're always a safe space for people. But yeah, thank you again so much. I'm so excited we finally got a chance to do this. And once this COVID goes away, we're doing more stuff together. So you're going to have to come down to Florida soon enough.
I was about to say the same thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, dear, for everything. It's been wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Again, if you have any questions, need any help, please contact Alliance for EDA. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find our website as well. Thank you so much for everyone watching, and thank you, Audie. I really appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
You too. Happy Pride Month.
Yes.